Greg, Troy, Steve, and Sharon watch and stare in utter horror at, 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 the, at the exchange result at what as what just happened. Sydney, Tracy, Parker Hallows, and Gerald Manning, who all three had just been killed by fireworks. The four men watched as all three of their bodies collapsed to the ground. For the fireworks had impaled through their bodies. Had also fried intellectually fried their inner circuits. Trey and Clayton fell back on the ground directly to the floor. Well, floor and ground, putting one knee on the ground and using the fingers of his hands to stand and hold himself up, while one knee was in the air. Troy Harding still stared in horror. Steve Hart walked in, chimed in a little closer. Realizing that all three of them, their final lady and their two male friends, were all three dead. Steve Hart looked around for more signs, in case Death might be prepared to make another move. The wind blows slightly through Steve Hart's hair, past Troy and Greg Harding, and past Trenton Clayton. The wind towered, however, violently past them before it stopped. As a result, Troy Harding had a memory inside his mind frame in which he remembered, brother. Do you remember a couple years ago when you went on that trip to Antarctica? Greg Harding said that's right. Antarctica, yeah. Steve Hart heard Troy ask the question. Steve Hart walked up to Troy, Troy and Greg, and asked, Antarctica? Can I go? Trenton Clayton responded, I need some leverage after all this. I don't think Death can target us in Antarctica, right? Troy Harding put his hands in his hoodie pocket. How can it? There's nothing in Antarctica but ice. Trenton Clayton put his second knee up in the air and stood on the ground on his tippy toes while in fetal position on the ground, and then stood up. Troy Harding started, whoa. You too? Trent Clayton responded, You mind? Troy Harding pushed past Greg Harding, pulled out a pair of keys, and gave them to Trenton Clayton, and Trenton Clayton took the keys. Troy Harding patted Trenton Clayton on the back, and Trenton slightly jumped in his position. Trenton Clayton looked at the key wording on the main key. It read Pole Gold Exchange.